I told him I needed to find myself, and by morning he'd already changed the locks. Everyone said we were relationship goals. 17 years together, 2 kids, the suburban house with the wraparound porch that I'd painted sage green last summer. Marcus and I had weathered everything: his mother's death from pancreatic cancer, my miscarriage at 14 weeks, the year he lost his job and we lived on my teacher's salary and credit cards. We were solid, unbreakable. Or so I kept telling myself while scrolling through my college roommate's Instagram at 2 a.m., the blue light burning my retinas. Jen was in Santorini. Again. 3rd time this year. Her feed was all infinity pools and sunset yoga, cocktails with names I couldn't pronounce, and captions about manifesting abundance. She looked exactly the same as she had at 22, maybe better, glowing, untethered, free. "Look at this," I showed my phone to my sister during our weekly coffee date at the strip mall Starbucks. The barista called out another mobile order. Marcus always made fun of people who couldn't just order at the counter like normal humans. "Jen's at some wellness retreat. Do you know how much those cost?" "Must be nice," Kara said, not looking up from cutting Josh's sandwich into perfect triangles. My nephew was 4 and still wouldn't eat crusts. "Some of us have real lives." Real lives. The phrase lodged in my throat like a pill taken without water. What was real about my life? The mortgage payments? The PTA meetings where we debated fundraiser themes for 45 minutes? The sex every other Saturday, scheduled around youth soccer and meal prep? My real life felt like it was slowly suffocating me. Every morning was the same. Marcus's alarm at 5:45, NPR voices filling our bedroom with distant tragedies. Coffee in our matching travel mugs, his black, mine with oat milk and sugar-free vanilla. Kiss on the cheek, minty toothpaste and stubble. Divide and conquer the school drop-offs. Emma to middle school first, then Josh to elementary. Back home by 8:15 to throw in a load of laundry before logging into my remote teaching job. Dinner at 6:30. Something from the meal plan I printed every Sunday. Netflix by 9, always his choice because I didn't care enough to argue. Asleep by 10:30. Rinse and repeat. "You're lucky," my mother reminded me during Sunday dinner, passing the green beans for the 3rd time. "Marcus is a good man, stable, reliable. Do you know what your father was doing at 42? Trading our car for magic beans, basically. That pyramid scheme with the vitamins? Stable, reliable. The words tasted like sawdust, like the gluten-free bread I'd been buying since Emma's friend convinced her she was gluten intolerant. "I know, Mom." I pushed food around my plate. Marcus was helping Josh with his multiplication tables, patient as a saint. "I'm grateful." "Gratitude is a choice," she added, her therapy speaking through her. "Have you tried journaling?" I had, actually. Bought a leather journal with "Live Your Truth" embossed on the cover in gold script. Filled 3 pages with gratitude lists before the entries devolved into screaming into the void. I am grateful for... what? That my biggest problem is being bored? That I have everything I'm supposed to want and still feel empty? It started small, the unraveling. I joined a gym. Not the family YMCA where we'd been members for a decade, but a boutique fitness studio downtown that cost more than our cable bill. Downloaded a meditation app that promised to transform your mindset in just 10 minutes a day. Bought overpriced athleisure that made me feel like someone who had her shit together. Marcus supported it all. Even bought me new workout clothes for Christmas. Lululemon. The tags made me cry, not from joy, but from the absurdity of it all. My husband spending $300 on spandex so I could pretend to be someone else for an hour a day. "Whatever makes you happy, babe," he'd say, barely glancing up from his laptop where he was always reviewing contracts or answering emails from clients who didn't understand time zones. That should have been enough. A supportive husband, space to explore, room to breathe. It wasn't. "You need to live a little," my new gym friend Sienna declared over post-workout smoothies that cost $15 and tasted like grass. She was everything I wasn't. Divorced, childless, fond of words like manifest and abundance. Her Lululemon actually looked good on her. When's the last time you did something just for you? I couldn't remember. Everything was for us, for the kids, for the future we'd mapped out in our 20s and never deviated from. College, marriage, starter home, Emma, bigger house, Josh, private schools, college funds, retirement planning, death presumably, though we hadn't penciled that in yet. Marcus and I have date nights, I offered weakly. Applebee's doesn't count, honey. Sienna's laugh tinkled like wind chimes. I mean, really live. Take risks. Feel your feelings. I was feeling my feelings. They were uncomfortable. Maybe I should take a solo trip, I mentioned to Marcus that night while loading the dishwasher. The plates were the ones we'd registered for, service for 12, though we never entertained anymore. Just a long weekend, clear my head. Sure, he said, annotating a contract with his favorite red pen. Your mom can help with the kids. Where were you thinking? I don't know. Somewhere different. There's that teaching conference in Phoenix next month. You could extend the weekend, make it a thing. A teaching conference. In Phoenix. In August. I closed the dishwasher harder than necessary. Never mind. It was just a thought. But the thought grew, mutated, metastasized into something darker. What if the problem wasn't where I went, but who I was with? Or wasn't with? Sienna had mentioned an article about ethical non-monogamy, how evolved couples were expanding their boundaries while maintaining their primary partnership. The language was corporate, sanitized, made betrayal sound like a team-building exercise. I floated the idea during our monthly date night at the Italian place that had once been our favorite. Now the breadsticks tasted stale and the wine gave me headaches. What if we opened our marriage? I said it fast, like ripping off a Band-Aid. Just temporarily, just to remember who we were as individuals. Marcus set down his fork. The careful way he placed it on the plate, perfectly parallel to the knife, made my stomach clench. Is this about someone specific? No, God no. It's about growth, exploration. Lots of couples do it. There are books, podcasts, rules and boundaries, and... We're not lots of couples, he said quietly. His brown eyes, the ones Emma had inherited, searched mine. We're us. I thought that meant something. It does. That's why I'm being honest. Isn't honesty important? So is commitment. He signaled for the check. Date night was over, but Sienna and my book club friends disagreed. We'd stopped reading books 3 months ago, just drank wine and complained about our lives. Men do it all the time, Sienna insisted at our next gathering, refilling everyone's glasses with $14 rosé. They just don't ask permission. My ex had a whole second family in Buffalo. You're in your prime, added Natalie, who'd just turned 38 and gotten Botox. Don't waste it. You think Marcus would hesitate if some 25-year-old threw herself at him? Marcus wouldn't, I started, then stopped. Would he? When was the last time I'd really looked at my husband? He'd lost weight recently, started running again. His hair had more silver, but it suited him, distinguished. See? Natalie smirked. You're already doubting. That's your intuition telling you something. Their words gave me courage. Or maybe it was delusion dressed up as empowerment, wrapped in feminist rhetoric and tied with a bow of midlife crisis. I created a dating profile that night after Marcus fell asleep, just to see, just to remember what it felt like to be wanted. The app was overwhelming. Swipe left, swipe right, make split-second decisions based on curated photos and witty bios. My own profile was a work of fiction. Teacher and yoga enthusiast, exploring life's adventures. Love hiking, wine tasting, and deep conversations, open to possibilities. The matches flooded in. Athletes with CrossFit photos, artists with paint-splattered studios, entrepreneurs who worked hard and played harder. They messaged in complete sentences, asked about my dreams, complimented my smile. When was the last time Marcus had complimented my smile? I'm not doing anything wrong, I told my reflection while applying lipstick I'd bought specifically for the gym. MAC, not the chapstick I'd worn for years. I'm just talking. Nathan was different from the others. A pilot for Delta, divorced, shared custody of twins. His messages were thoughtful, funny without trying too hard. He read books, real ones, not just business podcasts. When he suggested coffee, I knew I should say no. I'd love to, I typed instead, my wedding ring catching the light. We met at a cafe downtown, nowhere near our neighborhood. I told Marcus I had a dentist appointment. The lie came so easily it scared me. "You're even prettier in person," Nathan said, and I felt 17 again, visible, desired, alive. Coffee became a weekly thing. We talked about travel, books, our divorces. His final, mine apparently pending, though Marcus didn't know it yet. He was interesting in a way that made me feel interesting by association. Worldly, sophisticated, all the things I'd never been, too busy being responsible. "I can't do this," I said the fourth week when he suggested drinks instead of coffee. Even as I said it, I was calculating how to make it work. Emma had drama club until 6. Josh could go to his friend's house. "I know," Nathan replied, his hand covering mine. "But don't you want to feel alive again?" I did. God help me, I did. The hotel was nice, but not too nice, the kind that didn't ask questions. I'd paid cash for the room, a cliché so obvious it made me laugh. Or maybe that was hysteria. Nathan was gentle, attentive in ways Marcus hadn't been in years. Afterward, I cried in the bathroom, staring at the woman in the mirror who looked like me but wasn't. "You okay?" Nathan called through the door. "Fine," I lied. "Just freshening up." But I wasn't fine. I was exhilarated and destroyed, reborn and ruined. I was everything and nothing, and I couldn't wait to do it again. The affair lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks of deleted texts and encrypted apps, fabricated girls' nights and phantom doctor appointments. I became an expert in deception, crafting elaborate alibis for 2-hour windows. The hotel, always the same room if we could manage it. Room 412. I'd memorized the water stain on the ceiling, shaped like a butterfly or a Rorschach test. 6 weeks of feeling electric, desired 22 again. Nathan brought me flowers. Tulips, because I'd mentioned once that roses were cliché. He texted good morning and good night, little snippets of his day from cockpits over Kansas or hotel bars in Seattle. He made me playlists, something Marcus had done when we were dating but stopped after Emma was born. 6 weeks of complete self-destruction dressed up as self-discovery. I was careful. So careful. Separate credit card for the hotel, cash from grocery purchases skimmed over weeks. A Google Voice number. Incognito browsers. I'd watched enough Dateline to know how people got caught. I wasn't going to be that stupid. Except I was. Because the lying exhausted me, carved me hollow. I'd look at Marcus across the dinner table and feel like I was watching our life through frosted glass. He'd ask about my day and I'd recite my rehearsed script, hating the ease of it. The kids would chatter about school and friends, and I'd nod along. Present but not present, there but gone. "You seem different," Marcus said one night, loading the dishwasher while I wiped counters. Our kitchen dance. 17 years choreographed. "Happier, maybe? The gym thing is really working for you." The guilt was acid in my throat. "Thanks, I feel good, strong." "Good." He kissed my forehead. Casual affection that felt like a brand. "I'm proud of you for taking care of yourself." I almost told him then. Almost confessed everything, begged forgiveness, promised to delete Nathan's number and never leave the house again. But Sienna's voice echoed, "Live your truth. You deserve to be happy." Did I? Did anyone deserve happiness built on someone else's heartbreak? Marcus found out through a receipt. Not dramatic, not the burner phone or a stray text. A parking stub from Nathan's neighborhood tucked in my wallet behind my Costco card. I'd been sloppy after our last meeting, distracted by the fight we'd had about where this was going. Nathan wanted more. I didn't know what I wanted. The high was wearing off, reality seeping in like water through cracks. "Who lives in Riverside Heights?" Marcus asked on a Thursday evening, holding the slip of paper like evidence in a court case. Which I suppose it was. The lie was on my tongue. Sienna just moved there, a new yoga studio opened, anything but the truth. But his eyes already knew. They'd probably known for weeks, watching me float through our life like a ghost of myself. "I think we need space," I said instead. The words came from nowhere, from everywhere. To figure out what we want. "What we want?" His voice was steady, but his hand shook. "Or what you want." "Don't make this adversarial." "Adversarial?" He laughed, sharp and bitter. "Claire, I'm holding a parking receipt from a neighborhood you have no reason to visit. You've been acting strange for months, and now you want space? I'm not stupid." "I never said you were stupid." "No, you just treated me like I was." The silence stretched between us. 17 years of morning coffees and shared colds and birth stories and grief compressing into this moment. I waited for him to yell, to throw something, to be the villain I needed him to be. Instead, he set the receipt on the counter, picked up his keys, and walked out. "Where are you going?" I asked, panic rising. "Honestly, Claire, I don't think that's your concern anymore." The door closed with a quiet click. Not a slam, that would come later, metaphorically. He was back the next morning with separation papers and a locksmith. I watched from the window as he changed the locks, methodical and efficient. The locksmith looked uncomfortable, kept glancing at me. Marcus handed him cash and shook his hand, professional, practical. Everything I'd once loved about him, now aimed at my surgical removal from his life. "The kids stay here," he said, rolling a suitcase to my car. He'd packed for me, thoughtfully even, my favorite jeans, the toiletries I used, the jewelry box his mother had given me. "You can see them every other weekend and Wednesday nights. I've opened a new bank account for household expenses. Your things will be packed by Friday." "You can't just—" "I can! I did!" He wouldn't look at me directly, focused on a point just over my shoulder. "Your mother knows. She's disappointed but will help with your apartment search. I told her you were having a midlife crisis." Seemed kinder than the truth. "Which is?" "That you're a cliché, Claire. A walking, talking midlife crisis who destroyed our family for what? Some excitement? A ego boost? Was it worth it?" I couldn't answer. Wouldn't give him the satisfaction of my tears. "The kids think you're at a teaching conference. You have until Sunday to figure out what you want to tell them." The studio apartment smelled like industrial carpet cleaner and someone else's failures. 5th floor walk-up in a building that had seen better decades. The Murphy bed stuck. The air conditioner wheezed. The neighbors fought in a language I didn't recognize but understood perfectly. Misery is universal. Sienna helped me move in, chattering about new beginnings and phoenix metaphors while we hung my clothes in a closet, smaller than our old pantry. She'd brought wine and a succulent, "Impossible to kill," she promised. Both were lying. "This is just temporary," she assured me, arranging my section of the kids' photos on a bookshelf I'd assembled wrong. It leaned slightly left, like everything in my new life. "Marcus will cool down. Men always do. You'll probably end up stronger for this." "Yeah," I agreed, not believing either of us. "Stronger." She lasted 2 weeks before my calls went unanswered. My neediness, apparently, was a lot to process, and she needed to protect her own energy. The friends who'd encouraged me to live my truth were notably absent when that truth left me sitting on an air mattress eating microwave dinners. "This is temporary," I told myself nightly, scrolling through apartment listings I couldn't afford, and marriage counselors Marcus wouldn't see. "We just need space to appreciate each other." But Marcus wasn't appreciating. He was thriving. The transformation started small. A haircut that made him look like the guy I'd fallen for in college. New running shoes, a LinkedIn update about completing his first 10K. Our mutual friends, his friends now, posted congratulations. I liked the post, then unliked it, then spent 20 minutes analyzing whether he'd get the notification. His Instagram account appeared 3 weeks after separation. Marcus, who'd called social media digital narcissism, was suddenly documenting his life in Valencia filtered squares. Farmers market trips with the kids. Emma picking out flowers and Josh juggling limes. Surprise pizza nights with handmade dough. When had he learned to cook? Sunday hikes on trails I'd suggested for years, but he'd been too busy to explore. "Dad's learning guitar," Emma mentioned during my Wednesday visit, picking at the Chinese takeout I'd ordered. She wouldn't meet my eyes anymore. Hadn't since I'd explained Mommy needed some time to work on herself. "He plays us songs before bed, Beatles mostly. Blackbird is actually really hard." "That's nice," I managed, remembering the guitar I'd bought him for his 30th birthday. It had gathered dust in the basement next to the brewing kit and the Italian course DVDs. All the potential selves we'd never become. "Are you learning anything?" She asked it innocently, but the judgment was there, inherited from her grandmother. I'm taking a pottery class." It was a lie that became truth. I signed up that night, desperate to have something to report back. Nathan lasted 3 weeks after the separation. We met at the same hotel, but it felt different. Tawdry. The water stain looked less like a butterfly, more like spilled wine. "I thought you were leaving him," he said afterward, already reaching for his phone. "Really leaving, not this halfway thing." "It's complicated, the kids. Everything's complicated when you make it complicated." He was dressing quickly, efficiently. Pilot habits. "I don't do complicated, Claire. I did that with my ex. I'm too old for drama." "This isn't drama. This is my life falling apart." "Yeah, well." He paused at the door, looking back with something like pity. "Maybe you should have thought of that before you blew it up." The hotel room felt smaller after he left. Cheaper. The kind of place people went to make mistakes, not memories. Book club politely suggested I might be too busy to host next month. Then next month became taking a break from the group entirely to focus on other priorities. Natalie was pregnant, apparently. Sienna had started dating someone age-appropriate. The group text went quiet, then I realized I'd been removed. My mother's calls dwindled to weekly check-ins, heavy with unspoken judgment and audible sighs. "Have you thought about what you really want?" she asked during one particularly painful conversation. "I want my life back." "The one you threw away? That life?" "Mom, I'm just saying, Claire, actions have consequences. You're 42, not 22, though apparently you've forgotten that." I drove past the house at night sometimes. Our house, my house, the place where I'd nested and painted and hung Emma's art, and measured Josh's height on the doorframe. The porch light was on a timer, 6 p.m. to midnight, like always, but the rest was different. New curtains in the living room, a basketball hoop in the driveway, signs of life continuing, evolving, improving without me. One night I saw them through the kitchen window. Family Taco Tuesday. I recognized the ritual, though the execution had changed. Marcus was teaching Josh to properly dice tomatoes while Emma grated cheese. They were laughing at something, easy and natural. The scene was so perfect it felt staged, like he'd hired actors to play a better family. I texted him from the car. "I want to come home." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "This isn't your home anymore. Can we talk? Really talk? We're talking on Wednesday about summer camp schedules." "I mean about us." "There is no us, Claire. You ended us." I threw my phone onto the passenger seat and drove to my studio, where the succulent was dying despite Sienna's promises, and the air still smelled like other people's disappointments. The final twist came through Emma's Instagram story. I'd been checking it obsessively, my only window into their daily life. Usually it was homework complaints or videos of her friends. But this Saturday morning was different. Marcus at a coffee shop I didn't recognize, laughing at something off camera. He was wearing a shirt I'd never seen, blue that brought out his eyes. He looked happy. Genuinely, effortlessly happy in a way I'd forgotten was possible. The caption, "Mom and daughter date, but Dad tagged along." Mom? I screenshotted before the story disappeared, zooming in like a detective. There, a woman's hand on the table holding a mug. No wedding ring, but a silver bracelet. Artistic, understated, nothing like the jewelry I wore. "Dad's friend Rachel is nice," Josh mentioned the following Wednesday during pickup. He was chattering about his day, oblivious to my internal spiral. "She teaches pottery. We're making bowls for the empty bowls thing at school. Mine's lopsided, but she says that gives it character." Pottery. Of course. The class I'd lied about taking but never attended. "How long has Daddy known Rachel?" I kept my voice light, Mom interested, not ex-wife spiraling. "I don't know. A while? She's in his running club. She has a dog named Herbert. Can we get a dog?" Running club. Since when did Marcus join a running club? And who names a dog Herbert? I found her Instagram that night. @RachelMakesMud, pottery studio in the Arts District. Adventure photographer, small business owner. Her feed was everything mine had tried to be. Authentic, artistic, genuinely engaging. Photos of misshapen bowls with captions about embracing imperfection. Trail runs at sunrise. A rescue dog with eyebrows. Malaysia, Morocco, Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The kind of woman who probably never doubted her choices, never needed to find herself because she'd never been lost. 3 weeks of careful scrolling revealed the progression. First, a group photo from a 5K charity run. Marcus in the background, post-divorce haircut visible. Then coffee cups at the same table. Great conversation about sustainable business practices with new friends. Herbert appearing at what looked suspiciously like his, local park. Finally, last Thursday, Marcus's hands shaping clay, wedding ring absent. "Teaching new students is my favorite part of this job. Some people are naturals." The comments were worse than the photos. Friends congratulating her on new beginnings and following your joy. Heart emojis from usernames I recognized. Our neighbors, his co-workers, the other baseball parents. My replacement was Instagram official. Their announcement came 6 months later. Not engagement. Marcus was too careful, too burned for that. Just a simple photo of 4 pairs of hiking boots on a trail. Big, medium, small. "New adventures with my favorite people," the caption read. Rachel's comment appeared minutes later. "Lucky to join this beautiful family. Green heart, not red, thoughtful, respectful. Everything I hadn't been." The likes poured in, comments about perfect matches and "so happy for you guys" and "the kids look thrilled," because they did. Emma and Josh beaming in the next photo, covered in mud from the hike. Rachel in the middle like she'd always been there. Like I'd never existed. I sat in my empty apartment, scrolling through the congratulations from our former mutual friends. The gym was closed. I'd let the membership lapse when the credit card bill became too much. Sienna had moved to Denver for a fresh start that didn't include maintaining friendships with human disasters. Nathan was engaged to a flight attendant named Bree, who looked 28 and uncomplicated. "Are you happy, Mom?" Emma asked during our last Wednesday dinner, picking at her takeout pad thai. She'd stopped ordering her usual. Too many memories, maybe. "Of course, baby," I lied the same way I'd lied about dentist appointments and book clubs. "Just taking things day by day." She nodded but didn't believe me. 13-year-olds see everything, especially the things you try to hide. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus about pickup time. She smiled at whatever he'd written. A real smile, not the careful ones she saved for me. "Rachel's teaching me to throw on the wheel next week," she offered, a peace offering wrapped in a gut punch. "Dad says I can make you something for Christmas, if you want." "I'd love that," I whispered, imagining a lopsided bowl made by my daughter under the guidance of my replacement. Character, Rachel would call it. Imperfection that makes it perfect. Sometimes I scroll back to the last family photo from before. Marcus's arm around me at Josh's birthday party, kids laughing at something off camera, my smile genuine and unconscious. I study my face, looking for signs of the destruction to come. But I just look normal, happy even, unaware that in 6 months I'd be sitting in a studio apartment, eating cereal for dinner and stalking my ex-husband's girlfriend's pottery account. I wonder how many megabytes a life costs. How many gigabytes of carefully curated new beginnings it takes to equal one authentic moment of what I had. The photo lives in my phone, backed up to the cloud, permanent as my mistakes. The frame, our family portrait from last Christmas, sits in my closet now. Not displayed but not discarded. A reminder that some doors, once closed, change their locks. That some pottery, once shattered, can't be pieced back together no matter how much character the cracks might add. Maybe I found myself after all. Here in this apartment that smells like loneliness, with a dead succulent and a futon from Facebook Marketplace. I found the person who chose excitement over stability, passion over partnership, the shimmer of possibility over the solid ground of reality. I just don't like who I discovered. The pottery class I finally joined meets Thursdays. I'm terrible at it, can't center the clay, can't make anything that holds water. The instructor, a kind woman nothing like Rachel, says it takes time. Practice. Patience. The clay has memory, she explained last week, watching my bowl collapse again. It remembers every movement, every mistake. You have to be gentle with it. Consistent. Otherwise, it will always return to chaos. I laughed, sharp and bitter. The other students looked uncomfortable. Now I sit at my crooked table, shaping invisible clay with empty hands, remembering. The weight of Marcus's mother's ring, which I'd left on his dresser. The sound of Josh's laugh when I still had the right to tickle him goodnight. The particular way Emma rolled her eyes when she still rolled them at me with affection, not judgment. The morning coffee ritual I'd found so suffocating, now a phantom limb aching in its absence. My phone buzzes. Marcus, about summer camp forms. Business only. The way you talk to someone you used to love, used to know, used to build a life with before you burned it down for the chance to feel 22 again in a hotel room that rented by the hour, though we paid for the day. I close my eyes and see it all. The wraparound porch I'll never paint again. The guitar gathering dust until Rachel suggested lessons. The hiking boots in size order on a trail I'll never walk. 4 pairs where there used to be 5. A family portrait with better composition now that I'm cropped out. Maybe that's what finding yourself really means. Not discovery, but excavation. Digging through the rubble of who you were to find who you've become. And realizing too late that some things, once lost, stay lost. Some locks, once changed, stay changed. Some clay, once shaped by careless hands, never forgets.